Hello and welcome back to the 0 to 1 series. In the previous episode, we looked at the struggle of the future, where the writer tells us that in order to build a progressive future, we need a group of people who are willing to do things differently. In this episode, we are going to be looking at how to build companies and make them not making the mistakes that were made in the 90s. So get strapped in, hit the like and the subscribe button, and let's go. You must have heard of the dot-com rush in the 90s. Donald Trump wrote in one of his books either How to Get Rich or Think Like a Billionaire, mentioning the dot-com rush. But if you haven't, this was a time in history when there was a historic economic boom. This was between 1995 and 2000. A lot of people and companies did invest in startups simply because they had the dot-com in their name, or in other words, they were internet-based, and this was as a result of the fast growing of the internet. After examining the activities of the 90s and the consequences which it had on the people, the writer has these 4 rules which he says have become a rule that is well followed in a startup world. Take it a step at a time. He says those who attempted to take advantage of the 90s rush did it so fast that they crashed so heavy. Stay small and have a specific long-term goal. This way you'll be focused and not be carried away by whatever is happening around you. One of the importance of staying small, which takes us to the third point, is the fact that you get to build your ability to compete with those who are already in the market, because if you don't do that, you will not be able to stand competition. The last point, he says that you should design a product and let the product speak for you, let the product advertise you. That's the only way you can ensure longevity in the field. This lesson, he says, that have become known in the startup world. But in concluding the chapter, he says that it is important that we keep away from these laws, because they are the laws that are applied by those who follow the horizontal progress. And he says that we should think for ourselves, because that's the only way we can do things different. In chapter 3, the writer tells us that all happy companies are different, and he argues that companies cannot create value, or businesses cannot create value without being valuable. Now the question is, what is the difference between creating value and being valuable? In reading, I got to find out that to create value means to satisfy your customers, but when it comes to being valuable, it is measured by how much and how often your customers return for more. So he uses the story of the United States airline and Google back in 2012 to demonstrate this. He says from the studies, it shows that Google was more valuable than the United States airline, even though Google was worth less. The author advises that in order to build longevity and value that will last for long, it is important that we should not build our businesses where there already exists so much competition. This is because the more the competition, the less the profit. He says one of the biggest mistakes that startups make is denying the fact that they exist already a competition or a competitor in their business. He says this is what large companies who have already established do in order to hide the secret of their success. But for startups, it is important that you accept that there is already a competitor, there is already competition, so that it will help you strategize and be able to overcome the competition. The problem of competitive businesses, the author says, goes beyond competition to ruthlessness and death, the author says, and monopoly gives the business owner the leverage and the advantage so that he is able to be ethical. In contrast, the benefit of monopoly remains only with the business owner and the employee. This is because on the other side of the world, there is a consumer who is limited to only one source. He is able to buy only at a particular price, and this makes it very hard for those who are purchasing from the end of the consumer. And personally, I think this is really real, because when you have to buy something at a limited budget and it's difficult to find another supplier or someone who sells what you want exactly, you have to buy at the cost which has been placed before you, and this is a disadvantage of monopoly. But in vertical progress, creative monopolies come with different categories of goods to serve the consumer, and this makes things easy for the consumer. In conclusion to the chapter, the writer says that all happy companies are different from each other, where it says each one earns a monopoly by solving a unique problem that has not been solved, and all failed companies are the same because each of them failed to escape competition. This is all I have for this episode. In our next episode, we are going to be looking at the ideology of competition. Thank you for staying through to the end. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, stay safe. Boromini.